how are you educating or your architects and engineers, or are you fortunate just to partner with ones that already get that science?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's ultimately both, Brad. So, for instance, my engineer that I use the most is a local company called Positive Energy. They also have a great podcast, if you're a podcast listener, called the Building Science Podcast. Ultra nerdy, nothing but super nerdy topics about HVAC and building science. Those guys have been around in Austin since around the time I started my business. So they do all my manual J's, they do all my mechanical designs. Now they're doing envelope consulting. They're an amazing resource, and I try and get them on every single job. So I end up doing probably 80-90% of my builds with them as the mechanical HVAC, now plumbing MEP engineer. And so they do an amazing job. But the architects we work with, some of them have little building science knowledge. Some of them, like Steve Basic, have huge amounts of knowledge. And so that's our job as a builder, to come in and make sure that the building is going to perform well. And ultimately, frankly, that's a lot of self-preservation. You know as well as I do, this is a risky business. Most of your clients and my clients are fairly well off and have the means that if there's a problem to hire somebody to go after you.
Right.
And so we need to do everything we can to make sure that not only are we staying out of trouble, but we're keeping them out of trouble, which ultimately keeps us out of trouble. I'll give you a quick, for instance. I built a house real early in my Austin career, maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago now, where it was my first flat roof house. I'd never built a flat roof before. And I apologize if you heard this story before. I use this occasionally, but I had this swagger about waterproofing, like, oh, I totally know what I'm doing. I built in Portland, Oregon prior. I got it. You know, I'm using all the best methods. You know, we're doing sill pans under all our windows. I got this. So here I get my first flat roof house. And this was during the recession of 07, 08. And the client said, hey, we want to get 3 bids in every category. We want to review it, make sure we're taking the lowest bid. I'm a new contractor. I didn't know many people in town. My first flat roof, I didn't know what I didn't know. I hired the low bidder. Well, it turns out it was his first flat roof too. He goes out of business. He made all of my scuppers wrong on the entire building. I didn't know any better. They were caulked metal scuppers. You're probably cringing over there, Brad, at your seat as we speak.
Oh, yeah.
And you can guess how long the caulk lasts before the scuppers leaked.
Yeah.
You know, his truck had left and they were fine. And then about, 6 months later, we started having leaks. It only got worse. And here I am, like, every time it rains, I've got an email from the client. Hey, we got another leak in a different part of the house. It was terrible. I mean, I had a hard time sleeping anytime I knew rain was in the forecast. I'd go over there and caulk it, touch it up. The long and short of it is I finally had to rip the roof off, pay for it myself. That roofer was out of business. He had no insurance. It cost me $30,000. I'm so thankful those clients never once threatened to sue me. They were wonderful people. And I paid $30,000 out of my pocket. I had to put a whole new roof on it. I had to rip up a foot around the stucco where the roof hit the parapets and where the house hit the flat roofs, redo everything. It was a mess. I learned a valuable lesson, though. That low bidder and that system that I hadn't done before really bit me hard. Plus, it was a house that had no forgiveness with a flat roof, right? We didn't have this pitched roof with an overhang to put a big umbrella on the house. And fast forward 12 years, that client is now doing a $3 million rebuild with me because I, had the integrity to take care of the problem. And so I'm getting my $30,000 back that I invested 10 years ago in that roof. But I've learned a lot, and it's made me go, all right, if we're going to do these roofs, we better use the best contractors, the best methods, the best products. And I've been thinking more and more about doing a video about kind of risk and risk assessment based on different types of architecture. A flat roof house is pretty dependent on really good products and really good workmanship. But even with the best products and the best workmanship, as well as I do, a flat roof house has less of a lifespan than a pitched roof. And when you have a problem, it's usually a pretty decent sized problem. So, I'm building these super expensive houses with flat roofs. Well, in 20 years, if no one maintains it if we don't recoat the roof, they're going to have problems. And so I need to spend more time with my clients and architects talking about those issues and making sure that we're all in agreement with that. And that's okay that we're going to need to replace this roof in 15 or 20 years.